Inside this envelope are the private thoughts of a total stranger, and we're gonna read them. One of the weirdest things you can buy off the internet is a stranger's diary, and that's what I did. This is a diary I bought off eBay. It cost $17. The only thing I know is it was written in 1979. I have no other information. Who was this person? Well, let's open it. Daily Aid, the Silent Secretary. It looks like they wrote every day of 1979. The person who wrote this diary is probably dead. That's usually how a diary ends up on eBay. So if you write a diary and someday you die, your diary could end up for sale on eBay. What are we going to find in here? Secret? Drama? Romance? Murder? Who was this person? What personal demons were they battling in 1979? Let's invade this person's privacy. The very first entry. January 1st, 1979. Drizzly and foggy out. Billy came over, so we had holiday drink. Phil Ray called to wish us Happy New Year. Sarah called to greet us and we had nice gab session. Called and gabbed with Lou. Wrote letters to Carm, Lainey, and Linda. This first entry already tells me a lot. I'm getting the impression that a woman wrote this diary. I love that they said gab session. In 1979, they were gabbing, now we're yapping. One thing I love about reading diaries from years ago, it's always relatable. You can always relate to the person who wrote it on a human level. There's something comforting about the fact that human nature has remained consistent. This first entry also speaks to how life was a little bit different in the 70s. You used to have to put in a little more effort to communicate with your friends, and I think it was more common for people to drop by people's houses or write letters or call on the phone. In present day, we have the internet, we have texting, so in a lot of ways it's easier to stay in touch with people, but it's also become more isolating. January 2nd, 1979. Joe went shopping. Sure nasty out, pouring. Lou came over for a few minutes. Mail from our kids. Also snapshots. Lovely. Joe called some friends. We had a nice gab session. Snow and cold due tonight. Loving the repeated use of gab session. The second entry is full of information, and it sounds like she has a husband named Joe, and it sounds like they have adult children who do not live with them. It really does just have that gentle library book smell. It's very comforting. January 6th, 1979. Nasty out, snowing and freezing. Lou came over. We went shopping for foam cups, paper plates, etc. Then to Angie's to pick up macaroni casserole. Cars came to pick up family at 1:20 p.m. Then Lou and I got things all set up. Couldn't get oven started. Jay called. Due here next Sunday. Has car rented. So all this talk about the weather, the freezing, the snow, we know that this person lives someplace where it gets cold in the winter and snows. That's a lot of places, but still, it narrows it down a little. I thought the phrase macaroni casserole was interesting. I'm wondering if that's regional. I grew up in Indiana and no one ever used the phrase macaroni casserole. So I believe in this entry, she's setting up for a funeral. January 7th, 1979. Nasty out. Called and gabbed with Philip. Called Helen and Marty to tell them Jay would be home next week. Lou called. We gabbed. Marguerite called. Nice talk we had. Weather predictions not too good. I called Agnes and we truly had a nice gab session. She's having so many gab sessions. I'm jealous. January 9th, 1979. Wrote Lainey letter. Joe went shopping. Lou came over. Marge came over. Philip came over with gifts for Joe and I. Shalimar for me. Scotch for Joe. I called Dot and Al. Nice gab session. Joe called Washington for income tax forms. So many gab sessions. I don't know if Lou is a friend or a neighbor, but Lou comes over a lot. I love these gifts. They seem so classic. Shalimar for me and Scotch for Joe. Shalimar is a perfume. I think it has a reputation of being kind of like an older lady perfume. I think it might have like a bit of a powdery smell. Hello, I'm busting in here with a few more comments on Shalimar as I'm editing this video. I saw that I called it an older lady perfume and I wanted to make sure that was correct. I found a Reddit post that says, nowadays Shalimar is mostly worn by older women, but it used to be considered a bad girl fragrance for young women. And then I was wondering, when did Shalimar come out? It came out in 1921. So it's possible that 60 years later, it might might have started to gain the reputation of being an older lady fragrance versus a bad girl fragrance. Anyway, January 10th, 1979. Got my hair done, saw Anne for a few minutes. She gave me bacon grease. Lou there also. Had her hair cut. She looked great. I went shopping. No luck for yarn or zipper. Went to bingo. Millie gave me a box of chocolates. Delicious. This was written 45 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, but it's interesting to see how life has changed. For example, I don't feel like currently it's too common to bring your friends bacon grease. I feel like that's something that happens a lot less now than it did. If you bring bacon grease for your friends at bingo, let me know in the comments. I also love that she said her friend's haircut looked great in her diary. Imagine having a haircut that looks so good. Your friends have to write about it at home in their diaries. That's one hell of a haircut. January 11th, 1979. Helen and Marty had a fire at home. Marty in hospital. Helen released. Said she really doesn't feel too well. Got yarn at Caldor's. She references a store called Caldor's. That's a store that no longer exists, but when it did exist, it was a chain located on the East Coast. We're talking New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire. So our diary writer might live on the East Coast. January 14th, 1979. Joe went to early mass. I washed clothes, also stayed in all day. Jay got here at 10:45 p.m. without his luggage, so he had papers to fill out before he left Bradley Field. Gabbed with Barbara. That was the clue we needed for a location. Bradley Field, an airport in Connecticut. Our diary writer lives in Connecticut. It's Connecticut, baby! January 28th, 1979. Snowing and windy out. Joe went out and got hot soup for us. Went to see Lainey. He was in good spirits. I like this entry because it lets us know that Joe is the kind of husband that will go out in the cold to get hot soup for his wife. Sometimes it's the little things that speak to someone's character. January 30th, 1979. Washed clothes. Too windy to hang out. Also ironed clothes. Joe did our income tax papers. February 7th, 1979. Got my hair done. Stopped in to see Anne for a minute. It began to snow, so schools closed early. No bingo. I baked cookies. Joe baked bread. February 10th, 1979. Joe and I went shopping, then to 5:30 p.m. mass, and it was packed. Very, very cold out. Our kids called. They will be here in 2 weeks, for 2 weeks. Anxious to see them. February 11th, 1979. Very cold out. Joe got paper and mailed cards. Called Helen and got shocking news. Marty has a tumor on lung. Is in hospital. February 12th, 1979. Helen called. Gave me the shocking news of Marty. Doctor said it is the silent monster he has. Joe went shopping. Angie came over this afternoon. Nice gab session. Anne came over and gave me a perm. Made pot of beef soup for freezer. So it's sad news that either a friend or family member named Marty had the tumor on his lung, and it's interesting that she refers to it as the silent monster. I assume that means cancer, but she never says cancer. She just calls it the silent monster. It's an interesting way to put it, almost like not wanting to even use the word cancer because it's so upsetting, which is understandable. February 14th, 1979. Got lovely Valentines from Joe and Dot. Got my hair done. Went to bingo. Millie gave me delicious homemade cookies. Joe baked 2 loaves of bread. February 15th, 1979. Billy called. David in hospital. Broken wrist when toboggan hit bump. Marty operated on today. Joe going to Elk's Old Timers Night. Washed 2 batches of clothes. Helen called. Marty, very sick man. Operation 4.5 hours. Now in open heart unit. Baked 2 mincemeat pies. We know that our diary writer and her husband Joe have adult children, so they're probably a bit older, but we don't know how old. However, it says Joe went to the Elks Old Timers Night. I don't know what age constitutes an old timer, but it sounds like they're probably retirement age. February 28th, 1979. Got my hair done. Helen, Peggy, and Barr went to hospital to see Marty. He isn't doing too well, running a temperature. I went to bingo. March 7th, 1979. Got up early, went to get my hair done. I went to bingo. Joe watched our cuties. Our diary writer uses the term cuties, and I think that's what she calls her grandchildren. Collectively, her grandchildren are the cuties. She always says cuties, which is interesting. March 10th, 1979. Mary and Billy came over with clever idea. Gave Joe frozen manicotti for his birthday. March 18th, 1979. We went to 10 a.m. mass. Joe got breakfast for Lou and I. Marty got home from hospital yesterday. One of the big questions, what's gonna happen to Marty? March 21st, 1979. Got my hair done. Joe made reservations for our trip to DC. Social workers said Tony depressed and lonesome. I'm not sure who Tony is, but I am a little concerned that he's depressed and lonesome. And there's a social worker, so I'm wondering if Tony is an elderly person who lives alone, potentially? March 30th, 1979. Supper out. Chicken delicious, pork chop a disaster. Visited Tony. He isn't too good. Color of feet very purple. Our diary writer and her husband Joe are visiting Washington, D.C. They're visiting Tony. Tony's not doing well. I assume Tony is a relative. We previously heard that Tony is depressed and lonesome. Now we know he has some health issues. I found this entry interesting because our diary writer is rarely negative, but she said the pork chop was a disaster. It must have been a pretty bad pork chop in Washington, D.C. April 1st, 1979. Joe bought Sunday paper, so we stayed in. Weather on the cool and damp side. Called home. Mary said Anne in hospital. Slight heart attack. Went to see Tony. He gave us roast beef. Packed our things to leave tomorrow. Back in a time when people read the newspaper. Still not totally sure what Tony's deal is. We know his health isn't great. We know he's depressed and I think lives alone. But he does have roast beef to give. April 8th, 1979. Gus called around 8 to tell us Tony died. Oh my God. Just a week ago, they were with Tony and he was giving them roast beef and now he's dead. April 9th, 1979. Lou called. We gabbed. Gus called. Services will be Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Full military honors. Autopsy on Tony today. Still not sure what relation Tony was to our diary writer, but we know he was in the military. It seems interesting that there's an autopsy on Tony, considering it sounded like he was already in poor health. April 10th, 1979. Tony was cremated today. Ordered a lily plant for Tony from us. April 11th, 1979. I went to Soldier's Home for services for Tony. The urn containing his ashes brought in church along with folded flag, honor guards and all. Truly sad. Bugler. Full military funeral. Then Joe was given the flag. Joe and I got up at 3:35 a.m. So Gus came in our room at 3:45. We gabbed. Boy, am I beat. April 12th, 1979. Another restless night. The racket unbelievable. Joe, Gus, and I went to hospital. They had papers to sign. After the boys got Tony's things out of baggage room, we got back to our motel at 2:30 p.m. I got Tony's ring. April 15th, 1979. Raining out. Mrs. Peatman came over to extend sympathy to Joe. Also to say Mrs. McCarthy died last night. Our neighbor. Lou called, we gabbed. Mary called, we gabbed. I do love how she always says she gabbed with people. It is sad that you reach a certain point in life and everyone starts to die. And this diary really highlights that. It sounds like Tony was related to her husband, Joe. I'm thinking Tony could have been Joe's brother, possibly father. April 16th, 1979. Joe had 9 teeth pulled today at medical center, so he isn't feeling quite up to par now. I called Kay and we gabbed. 9 teeth pulled. May 1st, 1979. The gals came over for our usual gab session and delicious supper. I find myself jealous of our diary writer. People are always stopping by just to gab. It's been way too long since I've had a gab session, I gotta say. May 9th, 1979. Harriet, not at bingo, was in accident yesterday. What happened to Harriet? What kind of accident? May 10th, 1979. TV on the blink. May 11th, 1979. TV repairman came, picked up our set, got 10% off for senior citizens. Jerry's TV repair service. Have confirmation that these are senior citizens. I think we knew that already based on the bingo, not having day jobs, the general vibe. Now we have it in writing. May 17th, 1979. I sure have a miserable cold. May 18th, 1979. Feel lousy. Went to doctor. Got medication for bronchitis. Joe got haircut. May 22nd, 1979. Ange and Rosa came over for a while tonight. Rosa did my nails for me with the new polish she gave me. Truly very nice. Joe planted cucumbers and squash. June 16th, 1979. Helen called. Marty now in ICU. Very hot and humid out. Marty's back in the hospital. June 17th, 1979. Helen called. Marty now on respirator. June 20th, 1979. Went to get my hair done. Stopped at Annie and Lou's. Lou gave me some hot dogs and fried cabbage. Helen called. Marty took out his respirator. Is a very sick man. Small plane crash near foot of Boulevard. Michael C. shook up as it landed where he and his friend go fishing. On the one hand, we have this very lovely community where friends and neighbors are having gab sessions. They're making things for each other. They're cooking food for each other. They're giving each other vegetables from each other's gardens. It's beautiful. And yet, Marty is very sick. We don't know what's gonna happen to him. There was a random plane crash that freaked everybody out. July 14th, 1979. Cleaned desk drawers. Sarah called. We gabbed. Called Helen. Marty still critical. July 16th, 1979. Joe picked some Swiss chard tonight. It's underlined with much enthusiasm. It's funny to get excited about a vegetable like Swiss chard. It's a vegetable I don't really understand. It's like leaves. July 18th, 1979. I went to get my hair done. Pam stopped in. She sure looks great. Went to bingo. I mean, I often think that people look good. I'm never inspired to document it for history. Aspire to be like Pam. Aspire to look so good. People have to write about it in their diary. July 25th, 1979. Got my hair done. Joe got macaroni salad for me. Delicious. Marty passed away today. I went to bingo. Wow. Obviously, I don't even know who Marty is in relation to our diary writer, but I think Marty had cancer, lung cancer, I assume, because of the respirator. It's weird to follow someone's journey from afar, from like 45 years in the future. Don't even know who this person is, but you know that they went to the hospital. They went through treatments. They came home from the hospital. They went back to the hospital. People were worried about them. People were rooting for them, and they still didn't make it. You experience that with someone you love, or you experience it yourself one day. It's still weird to read about it. July 28th, 1979. We all got up early. Left here at 8 for funeral home. Got to church at 9 a.m. Never had such a fast ride. And then to New Britain for funeral home. And that too was a speedy trip. Quite a crowd. August 8th, 1979. Edna and I went to hairdresser school. Got our hair done. Not too good. Edna and I went to bingo. You hate to go to bingo with bad hair. September 3rd, 1979. What a day. Had quite a bit of eggplant cooked. Noticed bugs in the crumbs, so that whole batch got thrown out. Checked flour. That too buggy. Out that went, so cleaned out cabinets. Then Joe got me fresh breadcrumbs. Bugs. Can't live with them. Can't live without them. October 3rd, 1979. Downpour. Very nasty out. Tornado. High winds. Went to bingo. Did okay. Tried calling our kids. No luck. October 15th, 1979. Wrote letters. Joe had work done on Mustang. California had quake. Tried to call our kids. Lines all busy. Their kids live in California, and there was an earthquake, so she's worried, and she's been trying to call her kids lately. Hasn't been able to get a hold of them. Also interesting, Joe has a Mustang. November 12th, 1979. I made pizza. It came out perfect. December 4th, 1979. Joe said shoulder hurts. December 5th, 1979. Went to bingo. Joe's shoulder still acting up. Uh-oh. What's going on with Joe? December 6th, 1979. Got up early to go get my hair done. Joe said he feels lousy. Chest burns, he said. He called doctor. After examining him, they called hospital. Joe now in ICU. Oh no, what's happening to Joe? Doesn't say what's wrong with Joe. First, his shoulder hurt, and then his chest was burning, and now he's in the ICU. I hope he's okay. Just dropping in here to say that Joe's symptoms indicate he's having heart trouble. Could be heart attack, could be angina, could be something else. That's probably what's going on with Joe. December 8th, 1979. Called hospital. Doctor said Joe truly doing great. Thank God. Kids sent Joe lovely plant. December 13th, 1979. Doctor said Joe could be home Christmas Eve if he continues to improve. December 23rd, 1979. Got up at 7 a.m. Joe was calling. Had to check out of hospital by 11 a.m. Still don't really know what happened to Joe, but he gets to come home before Christmas. I'm about to read the very last page from this diary written in 1979. December 31st, 1979. Got up early. did some cleaning, went to the bank, also paid light bill. Dot and Gus called to wish us Happy New Year. Watched Florida Parade. It was beautiful. Mary and Billy called to wish us Happy New Year. And that's a wrap on 1979. I would say my biggest takeaway from this diary is I need to be having more gab sessions. This woman had daily gab sessions. I don't know, I guess that says more about me, that I'm not gabbing enough. I think there's probably a lot of people present day who are gabbing every day. Yeah, hit me up if you want to have a gab session. I guess the other big takeaway is life is full of constant death. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, check out my other videos. I have many other strangers' diaries and also other stuff. See you next time.